As the summer approaches, is your lawn showing signs of stress? Well, welcome to the Great Green North. My name is Wade Murray. I'm a lawn care enthusiast, and I can help you fix your lawn to make sure that you won't lose your lawn again to another major summer heat wave. So if that is something that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and let's stay tuned because we're about to get right into it. Alright, so let's talk about what's going on. So I'm getting a lot of questions now as we head into the summer about what is happening to my lawn, aka I'm having brown patches showing up in the lawn. I'm having these kind of gray spots show up in the lawn, large and gray areas. Or if people identify correctly, they're seeing heat and or drought stress showing up in their lawn. And this normally shows up around the late May 2-4 Memorial Day weekend, and early June as we're heading in now. These are what I would say probably some of the hardest months we're about to head into, the most stressful months for lawns in the summer. Now, first of all, let's start about what grass we have in our backyards. We have cool season grass, which is grass that's made to be grown anywhere between about 50 degrees and about 80-90 degrees. But as soon as anything gets over that 80-90 degree range, the grass shuts down. So about 30 degrees Celsius, your grass begins to shut down. It can't tolerate that extreme heat at a daily level. So the grass basically, as a safety mechanism, decides to brown out so it loses its color and saves all the water to protect the crown, which is basically what you consider the heart of the plant. And the idea with this is hopefully it can save enough water to protect the crown, so then when you come to fall and the rain starts coming back, your grass will green back up again and continue to live. This is what's happening in your lawn right now. It is beginning to weaken, so it's sending water down to the crown to try to protect the plant. Now, another issue about this time of the year is we're seeing a lot of lawns rain drunk from the spring. So what this means is every day in the spring we're getting torrential downpours. Everything's soaked. It's very wet. April showers bring May flowers. Well, it seems to be May showers this year, and we've had a very, very wet May, one of the wettest Mays on record. So what we're happening now is our first hot day of the year, the lawn says, whoa, I thought that we were getting rain every day, so I didn't need to be prepared for this heat. And now the lawn is more stressed at a temperature that it really shouldn't be stressed at. However, because it's so used to the pattern of the cold, damp, wet spring, it's gotten used to that and it's gotten too excited, and now it needs to rein it in on the water that it's using so then it can become more self-sustainable to survive the summer. So what you're seeing in your lawn basically is either browning, you're seeing browning of the leaves tip, browning of the leaves, basically that plant saving energy down towards the crown. You might be seeing the blades close over, as I talked about in my last video. The grass blade itself will fold in on itself to try to protect itself from the sunlight. Or you might be seeing kind of a graying look. When you look at the lawn so the sun's pointing at you, look at the lawn in the opposite direction of the sun, you'll be able to see gray patches. I have some pictures here. And these are areas that are experiencing drought stress. And the reason why they look gray is that's that plant leaf closing over. So you have drought stress in your lawn. Now, what can you do about it? How can you present it? Let's talk about that. All right, so before we talk about specific solutions, let's talk about water in our lawns and how it works. So as a general rule, we need about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of vertical rainfall collected once a week in the lawn to keep the lawn healthy and growing. And the way that you can measure this yourself at home is you can go out and buy a rain gauge. You can get them quite cheap from Canadian Tire or Home Hardware, Home Depot, wherever you are. You stick it in the ground, and this basically collects water and measures vertical rainfall. It has little measurements here, and you can put this extension on it. I use this on a daily basis to collect my vertical rainfall locally where I am. Now, if you don't have a rain gauge and you would still like to test your rainfall, you can get just a regular Tupperware container. You can throw this out in your yard as it's raining. That Tupperware container will fill up with water and then just measure how much water you collected. This is how you can see how much rainfall you're getting on a weekly basis, and this is going to tell you what's going on the ground in your specific location. So as soon as you're not collecting 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall in this container weekly, that means that you're going to have to start adding supplementary water, basically watering with your sprinkler to help out Mother Nature because you're not getting as much water as you need. Another thing we know about water is that we as humans watering with a sprinkler will never be able to beat the rain that comes out of the sky from Mother Nature. We can try our best. However, as you know, for those of you who play golf courses, we struggle. We soak the crap with fire hoses out of those greens. There's no way that we can keep them as green as if it was just raining out of the sky. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're getting discouraged, you think your watering's not working correctly, we will never be able to match the rain that comes from Mother Nature. I don't know why, it just is the way it is. Another thing is, how is my grass losing water? Well, your grass is losing water through a process called evapotranspiration. So there's two things that are happening that's causing your grass to lose water. Number one, the sun is beating down on that soil and it is evaporating the water out of the soil, drying out the soil. This is the process of evaporation. And the ways that you can prevent this is cutting taller will help shade out that root system, limit your evaporation. You know, as you see shady areas, don't evaporate as quickly. You know, there's not really a ton we can do about that. It's just the way it is. And then the other thing that happens is called transpiration, which is the same as sweat. A human sweats when we get hot, and it's a process to cool the body down. Your grass does the same thing. When it's hot outside, your grass begins to sweat to try to cool itself down. And this is another way that the plant loses water when it is hot. And this is what is a proponent of heat stress. So not necessarily drought stress, but if it's really, really hot outside, your grass also suffers from heat stress in the same way that humans can suffer from dehydration as well as heat stroke from just being left out in a hot, sunny day for a long period of time. So there's many different things that affect your evapotranspiration rate. And these are things such as humidity in the air, the heat, and believe it or not, wind. Wind will suck the water out of the ground. As that wind comes across the ground, it dries that soil out in the same way that you put a fan on a leak in your house. So a windy day that is very hot with zero humidity is about your worst solution for losing water on a day. And you can lose up to a quarter inch, an eighth of an inch of water in one day. If it's windy, it's dry, and there's zero humidity. However, if you have these days that we have here in Southern Ontario, where we're about 36 degrees with about 80% humidity, this day is very different than that windy, dry day we talked about earlier. We have that moisture in the air, and that moisture is going to help hold water in the soil. And this is where we talk about supplementary water. Even though it might seem very hot, very muggy, and your grass may be transpiring, we are still talking about saving water than a really dry day, because that humidity helps keep the water in the soil, which will help your grass in the long run. So humidity is good to a certain extent when it doesn't bring disease with it. So now that we know what is causing our lawns to dry out, let's talk about how to fix it. So before we get into the different types of sprinklers, let's talk about some watering basics, what you need to know. Number one, you need to water deep and infrequent. This means you need to be watering deep. So a ½ inch of water at a time, watering for an hour up to an hour and a half. You're driving that water down deep to make the roots of the grass drive down deep to look for the water, and hopefully they'll find it. This will help you save water in the future. Water deep and infrequent. So this means about every 3 days instead of watering 10 minutes every day. It really helps strengthen your lawn by watering deep and infrequent, and keeps it more tolerant to drought in the future. Number two, you can take a soil sampler like this one, and you can take a core sample of the ground, and you can test to see how deep your water is going. Most of the time I take a 4-inch core, and most of the time I see moisture all the way down to 4 inches as long as I am applying correctly. So number three, the best time to water your lawn is in the morning. So if you have a sprinkler timer, you have an in-ground system, make sure that you're running it in the morning. And the reason for this is if you're running the sprinklers at the hottest portion of the day in the afternoon, you're going to see evaporation of that water before it's going to be able to seep into the ground. So you're not going to get your full money's worth of the water you're putting down. And if you're running sprinklers in the evening before the night, basically that water is going to sit in the ground overnight, and it's going to give you a higher chance of maybe contracting a disease because you're kind of building up that moisture overnight. Obviously, with either one, if it has to be done, it has to be done. It's better than not watering at all. However, if you can, with a sprinkler timer or set your system, run it in the morning around 4 or 5 a.m. is the best. That will give time for that water to seep into the ground and as well dry out before you get to the hottest portions of the day. Number four, the best thing to do when you're in a really, really hot day situation, you can run basically a cool off cycle sometime around 3 or 4 a.m. or 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. You can run about 10 minutes on each zone just as a standard cool off. Use your impact if you're doing manually. It will help basically mist the lawn and give it a bit of a cool off, in the same way that if you're hot from a really tough day at work, you'll come home and jump in your pool. It's basically doing the same thing for your lawn. It will help cool it off a little bit in the afternoon, hopefully help figure things out from the really hot heat. So for my friends that have in-ground irrigation systems, there are a couple things that you can do when you hit that first heat wave of the year and you begin to see signs of drought stress. Number one, adjust your irrigation system. No matter how well you had it programmed last year, the winter has definitely messed with things and you're going to need to have to go back and adjust it. So what you can do, turn on each zone individually, go around, make sure you adjust the screw that interrupts the stream. This will cause the stream from arcing and not catching anything in the middle, completely like this, to becoming more of a fan like this and making a blanket of rain. This is what you want, because you'll begin to see dry spots forming if you're missing a lot of areas, and it will be almost in like a donut pattern. You'll have the water near the head and you'll have the water far away from the head, but there'll be a donut pattern where you're missing. So make sure that you're adjusting the arcs of your rotors. Make sure that if you have a rotor, you're making sure that you're covering everything it's supposed to be covering. If it's a 90, make sure it's a 90. If it's a 360, make sure it's a 360. Check everything, especially around sidewalks and streets where the snowplow could have messed with your irrigation system. Check to make sure there's no leaks, you're not losing any water. It's good just to do an overall check of the irrigation system. Make sure you're not missing anything. And the best way you can do this to adjust your dry spots is use what the Lawn Care Nut calls the 2-to-can challenge. You can use Tupperware containers. So when we're looking at that donut ring, we're going to go about halfway of the total throw of your sprinkler, so midpoint. Put them around the rotor in a circle. So if the rotor's here, we're going all the way around it in the circle. And then we're going to run that rotor until we fill these up with a 1/2 inch of water. So we're going to run those rotors until we collect our 1/2 inch. We're going to time how long that takes, and then that will tell us how long to program to run that zone for. Make sure you're running your in-ground about every 3 days is what I would suggest. You want to water deep and infrequent. That's a very standard thing. Deep and infrequent. That's the way Mother Nature would. That's the way your lawn likes it. So you don't want to be watering for 15 minutes every morning like your sprinkler guy might have set up your timer. You want to be watering for about an hour to an hour and a half in my area. An hour to an hour and a half every 3 days, and this is going to help drive those roots deeper. You're watering deep, so you're pushing the water down, which is going to make the roots of your lawn go down and make the roots look for water, which will hopefully end up finding more. This will help save you water in the future. So make sure you're watering deep and infrequent. You're setting that timer to run about every 3 days. And if you haven't before, make sure to check out Hunter HydroWise. They're not a sponsor, however, Hunter Industries themselves is a very great company, and I just installed a Hunter HydroWise controller at my place. I'm going to do a review very soon, but I'm very happy with the way, and it works very well. So if you're looking at maybe something that's a little more, hands-off, you don't have to adjust it for rain and everything like that, a Hunter HydroWise controller is definitely something that you should look into. When we're talking about manual sprinklers, so those of you who don't have in-ground system, first of all, let's talk about the different types of manual sprinklers. Now, I have them all scattered around here. So what we have here, this is called an impact sprinkler. So basically what this is the stream of water comes out here, and this swings back and impacts the stream, which causes it to spray out and not just completely arc, but as I said before, make that curtain of rain, get that center. So an impact sprinkler, and it makes the standard, that noise, the famous sprinkler noise, that would be an impact sprinkler. These sprinklers are my favorite because not only do they create a large stream of water, but they also create a mist, which is great for heat stress. So drought stress, you're getting that water in with an impact, but then you're also getting a misting effect, which is going to help cool that lawn off. And the same reason that when you're at Canada's Wonderland or some sort of amusement park, they have those misting stations to cool you off. It's the same thing that your lawn's getting from this impact sprinkler as well. Most impact sprinklers, this one doesn't, but most impact sprinklers have a little nut you can adjust. This one has an interrupter on the top here that moves up and down, and this interrupts the stream of water to help spread out and make that curtain of rain. So make sure you have that adjusted. So as I said, in the center of your total throw, you're getting that 1/2 inch of water. You're not getting that donut ring. So impact sprinklers, highly recommended. We'll have this one linked in the description down below. There's also these. Now this one is very old, but these are called fan sprinklers. These are the standard ones that go way up in the air and go back and forth. These I'm not the biggest fan of, number one, because the water shoots so far up in the air. If it's very windy, you're going to lose that water. The wind's going to grab it and take it, and it's not going to end up in the section that you want. Number two, I think there's wasted energy by shooting the water way up in the air again. It's just moving the water where you don't want it. This keeps it low, puts it exactly where you want it. This takes it way up. Number three, these are good though for getting square lawns. You know, if your lawn's a rectangle, this will get it much better than this will. However, these I find just are more unreliable. I prefer the impact. These, you're not going to get that misting effect that you do with the impact. So definitely, these are good, but an impact is better for what I would recommend. Finally, for my friends with large lawns, I've been using this for a while. These are called tripod impact sprinklers. So it's your standard impact head, but it's way on top of a tripod. So this helps get the head up so it can shoot over objects, and it can shoot much farther. This can shoot about 80 feet in either direction. So if you have bigger lawn, I used to water my entire lawn with this, a tripod impact sprinkler. I'll have this one linked down in the description below. So for my manual friends, same thing as the people using the Inground system. You're going to set up your sprinkler. You're going to turn on your hose full blast. You're going to take your cup and you're going to put it halfway between the sprinkler. The sprinkler's here. The stream of water goes over and ends here by my coffee cup. Put it halfway in the middle. Wait till you collect your ½ inch of rain. Once you've timed how long that takes, once you've collected that, then you know, say for example, it takes 60 minutes for that sprinkler to put down a ½ inch of rain. Then next time you go to put your sprinkler out, you put it out for 60 minutes. And now you know how long it takes to put down a ½ inch of rain at your place. What I can also recommend is, as we talked about earlier, the best time to water your lawn is in the morning, because this is going to make sure that you're getting the most amount of water in. There's normally less breeze. So try to invest in sprinkler timers. You can get battery powered programmable timers that you can hang on your hose bib on the side of your house, and this can run the sprinkler for you without you even having to wake up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning. Run that sprinkler. As long as you put it out the night before, it will run. You can take it in before you go to work and your lawn is done. You don't have to worry about watering it. You don't have to worry about anything. So sprinkler timers do make a big difference. And also make sure that you're not wasting a ton of water. I know that it is to say that watering lawn in general, grass is the most irrigated plant in the world, even though we do not eat it like much other agriculture. So make sure that you're not wasting water by putting tons of water on your sidewalk or tons of water on the street. Try to conserve water, put the water only where you need it, and only run it as long as you can to help out your neighbors, make sure you're not draining your aquifer or whatever. And if there are watering bans in your restriction, if in your area, that is something you're gonna have to follow, but try to make the best out of it. You know, water your lawn whenever you can for as long as you can to keep it alive. So without further ado, that's it for this ultimate watering guide. I hope that it helped you guys. If you have any other questions, as always, leave a comment down below, or you can reach out to me, greatgreennorthlawncare@gmail.com on the screen right here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I have more great lawn tips coming for you guys right up here, including full in-person guides of what I talked about in this video, as well as a Hunter Hydro-Wise review. So the Great Green North Lawn Care, my name is Wade Murray. If you would like some great Canadian Omex Grow Forage products, make sure to check out the discount link I have. They work great, and I'm going to have a video coming up on those as well. In the Great Green North, my name is Wade Murray. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep